Thank you all for joining. For joining and give folks just a second here and we'll dive in. Okay, good afternoon. I'm Jenny Almasarl, spokesperson for the Park Service. I'll be here facilitating the afternoon's briefing. Speaking on today's briefing will be Yellowstone National Superintendent Shawley and Park County, Montana Commissioner Berg. Both provide some open remarks. Superintendent Shawley will also present in with them. After they speak, we will take Q&A.
Recording in progress.
You know, the situation in Yellowstone is dynamic, so please us, Superintendent Layer Commission's video activity will do our best to resolve the issue and continue on. This briefing is full record and reporters are welcome to record this session. Also recording this as well. We will make available for who asks. Request a copy of the recording, please email news media at a few hours to render after the call, but we'll provide it as soon as we can. Also projections in chat for all reporters in attendance. There are reporters briefing. I see over 100 people right now. We are going to do our best to answer as many questions possible. At the bottom of your screen, the Q&A section, please consider submitting your questions presentation using the section. We will do our best to get any as possible. During the Q&A, we will also have functions that can raise your hand, Zoom hand at the bottom of the screen. When we call on you, we'll unmute so that you'll come on and answer your question. Again, prefer to drop those in the Q&A just to be as efficient as possible. Number of fun. With that, I turn it over to Superintendent Cam Shaw. Superintendent Shaw, you can come off camera. We'll turn it over to you.
Great, Jenny. Hear me okay?
We can. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for putting it together, and to all of you for joining. We're in day 2 of this flood event in Yellowstone. First, say thank you to all of you that have shown interest, reported so on everything's happening here. That together gives you some more information about what we've been doing over the last and a half or so, and what's planned for upcoming days. Tonight and over the weekend into Sunday night, we were about 2 inches of rain with some warm temperatures that look dropped on 5.5 inches of snow, melted, and caused a major event in most northern range, Yellowstone, obviously, Lar River, all of their tributaries. The impacts to the park, as I'll show you here, are most serious in the area between Gardner and Cookie and Kristen. Forward to that, please. You are, I hope, familiar. I'll just kind of give you an orientation to this map. Kristen can use cursor. The upper dot is Gardner. The right big is Cook City. Both of those are in Montana. The road corridor between Cook City and then the loop around this canyon is called of Yellowstone. The loop below is called the South. Just so you go through this. The flood event and most serious, the road between Mammoth Hot Springs and Gardner. Got out. It's about a 5-mile second entrance. I'll show you some pictures here. Most of you that have seen the videos for helicopter yesterday have seen damage within that corridor. Lamar Valley to Cook City, secondarily, that has been. We still have very high water as of today. There's some conflicting. This whether or not we may have another. We'll have somewhere around 12 inches of snowpack. And if we get warming temperature, right mixture of precip, have another flood event coming through Yellowstone upcoming 4 or 5 days. I'll come back to this map, but Chris, if you want to just go through photos, is a section of that. Mammoth, Wyoming is kind of where the headquarters is. This is in the north is usually the second, third, and fourth tide inch for most coming to park. West being first. North entrance Gardner ties with the south end of Jackson. Supports a high volume of vegetation the park. But what I want to point out here is that this is just one action. It's going to be an easy rebuild. There's obviously things that we're going to need to do, stabilize once in a while and assess what the damage is, length of that corridor. With the people, whether it makes sense to their insure, and I'll talk a little bit more about a bit here. But a couple quick through thoughts and we'll go full screen so we can talk kind of what we mean. So if you want to make a couple pictures and another shot, different angle road. Next slide. This, so where it's not fully gone, like in the previous picture, it is colonized. And so each segments like this will have to be weighted into how we can stabilize it, make it for travel. Next slide. This is one section in the section between Lamar and Cook City. Another example where the road's completely washed away, where the river potentially is changed course, perhaps permanently. So we're evaluating that we need to make roadway realign. Next slide. As a lot of bridges support usage in Yellowstone ways, backcountry is even bridges that are close to the road for trails and things like that. Example, Rescue Creek between Mammoth and Gardner. This bridge is now, since this was taken. There are literally hundreds of bridges in the backcountry that will need evaluation moving forward. Next slide. Considerable amount of muds, slide. This is a section Mammoth, and so a lot of debris, especially in areas where the rivers, roads, numbers of trees, which will require considerable work to clear. Next slide. Slide. This housing unit, 6 of our employee family lived in the town of Gardner, compromised by high flood waters to the point where we evacuated first morning yesterday. Last somewhere around 7 p.m. in Toucher. Went in the river. This is the Yellowstone River, just north of Gardner. And that entire structure floated on the water 5 miles. Unfortunately, the house, many of our employees lost a considerable amount. We're working on to support those employees. I think that's to the map real quick. So, in this last day or so, and a half. And as you can see, dangerous, unstable. Remember, it's mid-June. Yellowstone. The visitors, the gateway communities were also full, including Gardner. We had, because of unsafe conditions, to move all of the visitors of into the southern loop. A little bit about this, but the town of Gardner was cut off flooding roads on Highway 89 into Montana, which have essentially reopened over the last couple thousand visitors stranded in Gardner residents because they couldn't come in road damage and they couldn't exit. We'll chat a little bit about that. We got the visitors yet. We proceeded to start evaluating more carefully what the flooding were on the southern, from everything from the roads to the bridges to wastewater treatment and those types of things, much less than the northern loop. However, there are several areas that are potentially went ahead and made the decision to clear the park of completely. Warning, all visitors are currently out of Yellowstone. Because it's mid-use, we had a large number of backcountry campers that we've backed with. We have put a full closure of the country into place and contacted every backcountry user in Yellowstone. Right now, there's only remaining in the northern range to do helicopter evacuations if necessary, that have necessary up to this point. And we will, as time goes on, to determine when it's safe. Another we focused on is supporting the in Cook City, both community 1 degree were cut off from the communities. The county, the state has a job of getting and getting visitors evacuated Gardner into toward Livingston. That's been happening over the last couple hours. We're standing by, talk more about that, but provide communities in addition to what we're doing inside of Yellowstone. What's the damage? Answer is we don't know. Water is extremely high. We're not at this point. When the water subsides, probably we'll be pulling from different agencies around the country to come to Yellowstone and help us assess what the damage is, infrastructure in the park. So we will not, I mean, you can see by the picture, but exactly what the timeline star until we get teams on the ground and can actually assess what it's going to take repair it. We're here in Mammoth for about 30 hours. We've had multiple power failures and Northwestern Energy for getting teams on the ground as quickly as we speak, and back on in Yellowstone within the next couple hours. Is most of you can see, or well, most of you know, Yellowstone can receive up to visits per month in the summer months. Likely node between Gardner and Cook City. He's in looking at the damage. Optimistic is possible, but even if we got started right now, I'm not sure we get the road. So that will likely stay closed for the rest of what we've been engaged communities, including West Yellowstone and Cody and Gardner and others, is an visitation. When it's safe to reopen that southern loop, is that half the park cannot support all of the visitation. We are exploring some timed entry, potential reservation type system we would look to implement is safe to open. A couple other things, because the power's been out for treatment facility failures in multiple locations, failures, visitors out of the park as a good one. All of that infrastructure is going to be before we want to put visitors back in the park. So we've had conversations with the communities, very good feedback. We've had some short-term objectives out of Gardner on some of those basic things. Now we're moving into the kind of more medium. What does and when does it look like southern loop? So in this map, Norris down or south. I'd say we've had tremendous support from the secretary. I talked to her this morning, Montana and Wyoming, congressional delegations from Montana, Wyoming, Board of Eds has County, Montana, our business partners in the park. This is absolutely a team. Everyone, we're doing our best job to stabilize until we can get water down, assess what, and then on a plan together for reopening. As I'd stop Jenny and hand it back over to you and to Bill, I think.
Sounds good. We'll stop Bill Berg from Park County, Montana.
Thanks, Jenny. Thank you, Cam. A little bit, I think that this spectacular landscape was hit by violent geologic and hydraulic events, and it's not very handy what happened. Well, I'll hear on it. Park County actually gets it from Yellowstone Park. Has Yellowstone's 5 entrance, and you saw from the map, Gartana, that was 140 years. The others, Cookie and Silver. The only way to cook Silvergate, Park County's through Yellowstone Park. So comes just our significant at ours. We can't, law enforcement is out there now, health services, we can't there to pick up the garbage, this stuff pretty basic. We can't there to help keep the streets, got their own plan. Sunday night was when we got our alert, there was trouble on the horizon. When 2 of our on the trail in Silvergate washed up, shortly thereafter, 3rd wash, and the public director plans to go out there Monday morning, and he didn't even make it. So landscape literally, figuratively changed dramatically in those 36 years. Gardner's pretty tumble place. It was established in 1880 by a gentleman who he asked to Mammoth because he had opened a hotel the year before Yellowstone Park, and he headed down the hill out of town right on the tree. So it's a country town, Yellowstone, and lives and dies by tourism. And this is to be a pretty big hit. COVID hit us the rest of the March of 2020. Had a pretty dramatic fire in Gardner that summer, which was really on top of the impacts of the pandemic, and a little fire are a little to add to them. Their business actually did well last year. Ones I talked to have said that they broke record. That's just a little bit travel to COVID. The business I talked to has reservations running even longer for there, and that's all gone. So business are already trying to sort out what they're going to do with their staff. They can't afford them. Their business projects are shot. Residents are being canceled. Folks are aiming for runs which are standable. Some business may have spent money. So they're looking to try to find out how to piece together to make a living in Gardner. I expect to do in gateway communities. You have to budget be hard. You have to make all the sun shines, and you have to hang on dash over so that you can afford to open the doors in spring. And this is hitting a couple of weeks from Memorial. It's going to be pretty tough for garden businesses to cover from, and that's not even to the impact of the infrastructure. We're assessing the damage to the sewer system in here. The sewer system serves Mammoth Springs as well. That's critical for all of us. Must consider and Gardner, even we span Park County and states, must consider to be one D. So a lot to work on together. As Canada Department of Transportation had critical. So our county road was working side by side with the Department of Transportation throughout the night into the day to get Yankee Canyon opened up, and that had a bit of relief as visitors and able to get out of Gardner. Supplies at the grocery store dwindling. Hotel, we were willing to serve visitors in a day. The restaurant provisions are entirely gone. So it was called that we finally were people out of Gardner. So we regroup. MDOT this morning said that Maine will be 30 miles an hour, continue to work, but they keep traffic minimum so they can work as they provide egress for visitors and as in and out for locals as service vehicle delivery. It's going to be a little slow here for it's pun intended fluid situation. As Ken would like to think that the water is already behind us, but we say that for us yet. There's still quite a snow up, but we have been given a little bit of time out here. The river backed off quite a bit, and it's what allowed as the loads to open and for us to take stock and figure out next step. We're working, and it's a lot on top of a lot, and came with some pictures of his road. We've lost several roads in our county and around the region as well. And into the 3 bridges we lost city. Park cast 1 bridge over the Yellowstone, Tom Basin, just the other side of Jim Canyon. Heather Bridge mised in the Paradise Valley. The traffic ending out to take it more creative out is also generated of and debris by front loaders and loads of. So that's kind of where we are, and I will be questions.
Thank you, Commissioner and Superintendent Shawley. Just a few housekeeping reminders within this up today. At the bottom, you can Zoom screen as a Q and submitting your questions this way so we can get to as many as possible. You can please also identify which organization you are with, along with your question. That's appreciated. You also raise your hand using the button at the bottom of your screen. We will start in Q&A and then call any people as possible with their help. If we call you, you'll be unmuted and able to speak those with your hand. The first question here is Baker. I think this is Superintendent Shawley. Superintendent Shawley, if you could please put this flooding historical context, I don't ever see anything of magnitude. How do you measure the magnitude, the area, the amount of damage? What is the impact on the animals?
Well, so this is my words that I've heard this is 1,000 events. That means days they seem happening more and more frequently. So I don't know exactly what context it in historic, except I understand one of the highest cubic feet per second rate of the Yellowstone River recorded in the 90s at 1,000 CFS, and tonight we're at 1,000 CFS. So that a context of how big it was from the last major kind of high water that the park had. As far as the animal, spring, this is only my fourth summer here. This has been the most spectacular animal that I've seen. I think I've seen between 15 and 18 grizzlies in the last 6 weeks. Large numbers of bisons. And as of right now, we don't think the animals largely, except there's visitors at least really watching them.
Thank you, Superintendent. The question is improve up Yellowstone Gate. Asking is guests continue using way Old Gardner Road for access, staff, and or public.
So remember when we were sure the highway opened this morning, we were when floodwaters receded, whether that was possible or not. So we had developed 2 contingency options. One, the road is not doesn't have a super stable road base, but we are to make some temporary to that road so that we can have some type of access between Mammoth and Gardner. And the sense of urgency from the standpoint of their evacuations out of Gardner is over right now. But we still have that for a variety of different reasons in case Highway 9 closes again. And we also have contingency using the park aircraft, both in our Wyoming and Montana National Guard resources for flying. So we'll just plan ready for the in the future. But for right now, we'll continue to improve that. The old road will not be able to use for two-way traffic, have controlled directional traffic with a certain number of cars at a certain point in time. But where we are with that now.
Thank you. A question from Town. I'm not which news organization, Sam. Have there been any injuries, Park Service, of public due to the flooding?
Right now, I know you know how Yellowstone is. We moved visitor out of the park in 20 hours basically with 90 visitor injuries. We did cardiac arrest at Massive Campground yesterday, which did result in fatality, not flood. We did, and there has been no injuries, knock on wood, to him either.
And from Ethan Holmes, what the expected impact flooding and related infrastructural damage in this summer's tourism? How do you expect to take to repair impacted roads around the park and its gateway communities?
Yeah, I addressed that comments. We won't know until we assess. We're going to do what we can to reopen. Started with Thunder Loop in some lot of ways that our access goes. And we're working on alternatives for what engaging partners and sources on what that looked like. I think the Thunder Loop, in comparison to the road between Urban and Cook City, night and day. I think the Thunder Loop will be open and ready for access relatively soon, but the northern end will take a considerable time effort to get it reopened, even though the thing we possibly do it as quickly as we can.
All right, can you take one, Lindsay White, the Associate Press? How many visitors park before evacuations begin?
That's a good question. Our average in June can be, between 15,000, 20,000 range. I don't have an exact figure for you, but it was well over 10 visitors to the park. And I think we calculate 7,000 that stranded Gardner alone.
And Bella from Big Sky, is there any economic relief plan for gate communities impacted by measures, and how might people at communities Gardner City during time? I'm not sure if it's a question for our commissioner.
Let Phil first, Phil.
Yeah, I bet it. We've had a number of organizations reach out to offer support. Had a phone call from Gianforte, Senator this morning. They're certainly tuned in what's going on. I think recognize economic challenges that come. We're started. We're just getting started.
Okay, another for Superintendent Shaw from John Lake of the Wyoming Tribune Eagle. Superintendent, can you address Yellowstone National Park has their entire closed? Is there a range time for how long the closure lasts?
That was for 2 years, if everybody remembers. We've closed a couple of government shutdowns in past years, but I believe we've closed for flood.
Okay, question from Matthew Walker with KO Denver. Boulder in Colorado covered from getting floods in 2013. How can people afar who left Yellowstone help now?
Well, I think it's one of the really important things about calls is so you're getting as information as possible. And so that the amount of coverage that we got yesterday alone has split the amount of events at various levels. I think the important is for us to understand that 36 hours in the event to figure out what we're actually dealing with, those needs are, and through a variety of ways, we'll be able to identify ways you can help. Thank you, question, Kat.
Can I pitch it?
Yes, and the next one for you.
Yeah, I'll just throw out that even though the park is not likely, well, it won't open north end. Once we get to roads and Gardner, we'd like you to see a reservation, come on Gardner, head to Yellowstone, head to Kitty Booker, and what you can ways. And during COVID, when there's a lot of concern over the viability of gateway communities, people working pro reservations for the next season or 2 seasons out. And just stay tuned to social media as needs ride. I'm sure the message is out about those pinch points are.
Okay, Mr. Berg, sorry, Superintendent Shaw.
I just get back on that, but I think it's important for people to understand there is to doing these gates out of the park. A lot of people come to ways to visit Yellowstone, but there's a tremendous outside, and I just echo this comment on.
Okay, Commissioner Berg, can you provide, will Highway 89 stay open to residents at this point?
That is certainly the idea. I mentioned we don't know what's going to happen with the river over the weekend. You know, the out of the Yellowstone, the snowpack coming down. I'm looking at electric out there. There's still a fair snow up there that has to come. We would look at not coming down all at once. So, you know, there's no overs, timeouts, guarantees. There will not be over very soon, and then we should have predictability, but we're not there yet.
And for a follow-up from Douglas on this topic, time frame when Gardner will open for traffic, not locals.
Yeah, that depends on the assessment of the Russians, which just not getting a look at, and their ability to work. Montana Department of Transportation already contracted Riverside contracting to repair the bridge at Point Rocks, which will pull traffic off the river road and allow for better flow. That's going to take a while. Say how long. Yankee Jenny is going to be a lot of work. There are dozens of the road that are underwater. So stay tuned. That as Yellowstone original terrain, certainly no intention of take time here. Everybody's got it as a priority.
And we Nicole like with the Star Tune for Senate Shelley. Are park workers so being evaluated? If there are still ways into the park work day, and how the parks are housing work who lost their previous homes?
But for 6 employees, thanks for that call. The 6 that lost housing Gardner, we've relocated at least temporary housing. We'll be looking for permanent fixes or permanent placement for them to go to. You know, remember this happens. We have a full contingent staff in Yellowstone. That means upward of 100 park service employees and volunteers, and some are between 3,000 3,500 session employees that are hotels, restaurants, gas stations, and things like that. You take on like this, it's not a light switch we can't fit. We're you know, what you'll see a lot of people that are working in the parks is they may be doing jobs they don't normally support emergency operations. We have mention of running the center, and we will need a full engine of staff to handle that. So there are a battery of employees that are maybe not able to get to work. We do have a lot of employees in Northeastern that are related right now. They can't go out, can't come in or support. But generally speaking, everybody's here is finding things to do. We have a lot to do, and once we get operational, we'll need those folks to be ready to go.
And another question for you, if you're able to do this, how are network service lodging? These are concessioners cancellations. This from Waycore at KLR 8.
Yeah, challenging for not just the operation of the park, operate park, but all gateway communities, hotels, observations. Got people not from across America, around the globe that have planned Yellowstone. They're looking at opening and determining whether they're going to make those trips. Anytime you take full hotels of people and your reservations canceled to leave, that's not a good thing for your business model. It's another reason why it's important to come up with a safe way to get reopened as soon as possible, not only for the operations within the park, but also support the community businesses.
Okay, question for you, John. With Montana television work, where will NOR access that off? For instance, at Canyon or Tower Route, and between North and Mammoth.
Thanks, John. We'll sweep gate at Canyon, so that should be no different than what we did last year when we were in the Dunran project. So that'll be one closure, and then we will gate at Norris going. So they'll be able to make full southern, but they will not be able to come Mammoth. Won't be able to go down right.
Okay, and a question for Schreibner with Axios. Earlier than half of our camp visitation. Does that mean half of the park will remain closed for a controlled amount of time? And I'm tack on from Zach to Cody Enterprise as well. With opening the loop, including all entrances east, west, and south, and opening this at the same time.
Yeah, so when we open southern loop, we'll open entrance, south entrance, and east entrance. North entrance and northeast entrance will remain closed. We figure out what we're going to do on the north end. Yeah, I hit those in relation to the difference in timing. Southern loop can open relatively quickly. We've got to get organized on some things. The northern loop will be more extensive, and where condition assessments and assessment need to be done. We can figure out a plan. Is there a reduction strategy?
Okay, we have Alex Robb with the time. How many country camps are still in the park? Why is it currently seems necessary to form a helicopter evacuation for them? And are these country camp considered visitors since you saw visitors been evacuated?
Yeah, fair point. We made contact with every backcountry that was in the battery to check for their safety and to make sure that wherever they were, they could get out. So there are, I believe, 12 people still in the backcountry that are safe. We know are safe and that are making way out. So it's to say that the front country visitors and cars and things like that are out of the park. We still have people that were in the country further in that are going to take a little time to get out. Thanks for that. No.
Okay, and Kurt Repnick from National Traveler. What is the outlook for concessions, particularly there lodges at Kenmore and Mammoth?
So Mammoth will not reopen this year. Like the reopen Mammoth hotel really predicated on how we do with the condition assessments. There's a possibility, and the Mammoth Hotel could open. We've got substantial damage to water and sewer lines in Amity and Gardner, and so the opening of a Mammoth Hotel, because there's a leak in that, people could access from the south. But as we get the wastewater infrastructure back in place, we won't bring large numbers of visitors back to Mammoth. As far as Canyon, Old Faith Canyon right now would include the reopening of their loop. We had with the high wastewater issues there, monitoring, and so we make a decision to open any hotels or properties in this loop, or allowing Xander to take reservations for properties, grounds, or hotels, to make sure that infrastructure is capable of supporting high number of visitors.
Okay, question from the Arnold Jackson Holmes Guide. Yellowstone Community Park County applying for faster funding for FEMA. Do you anticipate any funding coming through FEMA business relief programs or businesses operate in the park?
So we're 36 into this. I think we'll be looking at a variety of sources. I know ways we can speak maybe with Swan and Gardner. We will get a full range of different funding avenues depending on what we need. We first know that is before we start looking to projects funded. And as far as the support for business kind of thing, we'll support whatever avenues the businesses will support for economic relief. I don't know if you want to add that.
And we've just incident man teams getting their under themselves, even as focusing on economic recovery from COVID. So we'll pile those together. We're already in a development district out of Bozeman, and do our best in Yellowstone. When we were talking about the support community, I want to add words certificates. No, the cash in register those businesses and our promise of support. Another way that you can just pick it in these games and show them a love.
Okay, and a question for Superintendent from Mike Kushmerl with profile. What are the potentially closed areas along South Loop and share a few more details?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Just out Canyon, you've been in the park. There's a section of about 300, 400 feet that we've had substantial issues with over the years. We end up in and repaving it every year, all that slate meadows. And there is a water that runs under that. So we've seen a shift. We've seen breaks in the asphalt. It has not been a compromise point where vehicles can't go over it, but it's that we monitor it. We feel that water line on that section broken, that could cause a collapse of that 300 to 400 foot. So we want to be sure that that's going to be okay. The west entrance road of the Madison River was right against the ridge yesterday, and a lot of those were subsided substantially. A couple of other areas, our whole River Drive, and others that have been underwater to one degree or another, and want to make cognizant of any crossings that may inspect and make sure those are safe for visitors as well. One other section between Lake and Grant, as I understand it, also compromised loaded from one side. I think that's full, and it may take days to get that.
Okay, I have a question from Kim McConnell, writing to Parks Traveler. Will there be any assessment of whether road rights of way should be adjusted more resilient against flooding, especially given climate change, likelihood of severe storms and events of climate change?
Yeah, I'm not sure on when I was earlier, Kim, but it's a great question. If you look at the road here in Gardner, not only may not even possible to build the road same alignment if you could, and I'm sure you would too if you just talk about. I don't think it's going to be smart to invest potentially, the millions of dollars, however much it is, into bringing a road maybe stick to a similar event in the future. So the road between here and Gardner are looking the road potentially away from the river and put it on a completely different alignment to make better and to avoid similar in the future. It's a great one.
Okay, we have a question from Laura Mo at the show band news at Fort. For Superintendent Shalley, when will you make a decision on the Yellowstone 150th on whether it will happen?
So first of all, that question and for all we're doing with trust in this 150th anniversary year, I don't know. I think we're up to 60 participating in the revealed initiative March, week of August 2nd. For those of you who know, that would be a huge tribal landscape encampment, an incredible with an ability for visitors to interact directly with us. We need to kind of set the condition of Gardner. I really want that event to proceed. And I think that if you look at what we're just talking about, coming to Gardner, and if people necessarily come away in the park, I think that's another great example of an event that we continue to plan for and have attend a variety of reasons. Most importantly, the track on the Yellow landscape can be a relating economic benefit to if we do that. I don't have an event, but my mind is now that we need to really get to that event, and absent something more catastrophic, as long as the road is open to Livingston, that kind of thing, I think we should need a plan for it.
Okay, thank you. And Michael Dell with EAs, can you elaborate on those required find, evaluate those in the backcountry?
So we know where they based on the backcountry permits and where those the back rights are. And so we from several missions and some of those campers, as backcountry campers understand, fitters had some type of communication device. I don't have the exact details of how we contacted them all, but I do know that we have that.
Okay, I'm going to combine all on questions here, Superintendent. So I think you've addressed this a little bit. Lindsay Weiss from the Associated Press, do you expect northern entrances to be closed for the season? And Woolsey Fox, we're asking clarification. What do we consider to be the end of your season? And then there's to answer just as best as you can, Yellowstone National Park will likely remain closed to visitors for at least how much longer?
Let's see. It's hard for me to say. I mean, I really understand how dynamic this is. Water's still raging. We haven't done assessments. Without those assessments, it's really hard to come with an exact timeline of the general timeline. Season, so get a few more days to get the down and to get teams looking at is going to be required. We'll be able to give you much data and information on timing. What I would suggest is the end of season, probably the end of October, going to maybe early November, depends on the year. Early November close roads in the southern portion of it normally anyway, ready for winter use. And so I think it's safe to say it's going to be a extended period of time. Northern end will be closed. Relationship to the south, I'd say that we're shooting for a week or less to open southern loop. Again, that's complicated because that is contingent upon us developing an appropriate visitor use plan. I've got a lot of work that's been done to use management. We have good action strategies. Social, we are associating those with gateway communities. Other partners, we should visitation Teton, they being sick with us. So we're going to do possible make we come up the right framework for that. Saying that it will be adjustable depending on how it's working. The one that even the gateways agree with me on is that trying to put normalization into one loop of Yellowstone is a disaster waiting to happen. So we've also got to make sure the structure that we have in the loop can support the number that we're in. I hope I answered your question for right.
All right, and we're just out of time. I'm going to take a few options here. Following on that from maybe for people who are not familiar with the geology of the park, name a couple of the famous marks in the southern loop and in the northern loop.
Yeah, I'm happy to map as one again. The southern would basically Old April, then Norris Geyser Basin, Canyon, Lake, and Village. In addition to East Entrance Road, South Entrance goes to Cody, South Entrance goes to Grand Jackson, the West Entrance which goes to Yellowstone. Those would all be kind of the southern loop.
Right. And
I think we're interested.
All right. Also, will be assessing the impact cultural resources in the park.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we've got a variety of, we try with the most even things our face right now. And we're going to systematically get more and more organized and be able to not only assess major damage associated with, but what other types of damage make other resources within the park.
Okay. And then for Appencheck National Park, Robert, does the emergency funds access to tell the repair rebuild, or will some work simply have to until funds are available?
I think this is a pretty important thing. I had good conversations with the Department of Interior, Deb Holland, the Park Service, Sam's. I think we've got support from Congress. We have a few different sources that we can look at. I can't read things in exactly when we did. It's incumbent upon us here in the park to make those assessments, put package together, cost estimates, and work with as many as possible and as many fund sources as possible to fund it as quickly as possible.
Okay, and we'll take one letter so you can move on to next obligation in the park. For a report we didn't get to, we'll do our best to do individual follow-ups throughout the afternoon and tomorrow. So Tulkinson has asked, what is the status of the Gardner system? Does it break? Is it flowing to Yellowstone River?
We're not 100% sure. We have to once again things that we won't be able to know until we see. We're assuming that that's the case, and we are taking measures to mitigate if damage is occurring. We are talking EQ and Wyoming about ways we can kind of move that. That'll become part of the package in the assessment that we do things to be replaced, both for the one that moves from to Gardner and whatever damage Gardner is sustained. Okay,
and we'll just do Commissioner. Do you have any closing remarks and anything from Superintendent Ballard?
Yeah, just thoughts. Todd, thanks for that. And that under river sewer line failed, I believe, in the early 90s. And from Jolly and I talking for years now, the ability to put that above the river line with the water line and know if this forces us to risk that. It is indeed, that's one of the options we looked at. I also want to point out we service the Forces and Park recently received notice that we receiving funding for the Lands Act program project to restore the road for arch through Yankee Canyon along the old rail bed. And one significant reason for that be to protect secondary access in the event of emergency. portions of rail beds, and I think in 2014 it's been able except for hikers and since. So we hope to see that restored. We had how it helped during this recent, and to be told there was water over portions of that route, but might all have put it under somewhat 40 option here for secondary act from Paradise Valley in the Garden Basin. And thank you all for your attention and interest. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. And Shelley.
I'll just echo thank you to all for reporting this. I know some answers that you might in more detail provide. I will continue to work diligently to get more progress, more organized. The answers can be handled better, the questions can be answered better. You know, I want to make sure I understand though that we had good success here in replacing and addressing deferments. But I also think that it shows that it's important to make sure they're building our assets in a resilient way, understand the future may be different in the past, and that we continue to work to identify what needs done and make sure that what we're doing can accomplish the services, protect place first and foremost, enjoyment of place at the time, and sometimes country, but it is really important. And thanks to you for helping us do that.
All right, thank you much. With that, we'll conclude today's call. We'll do our best to get that recording out to those for it as quickly as possible.
Thank you. Thanks.
Recording stopped.